Hey everybody, I'm Ashleigh Banfield and this is Drop Dead Serious. It's day 10 of Sean Diddy Combs' federal racketeering trial, and honest to God, it felt less like a courtroom in there and more like a scene out of the Sopranos. A powerful mogul, a missing bag of diamonds, claims that a kidnapped employee was taken to a vacant building by a guy named Uncle Paulie and threatened that she'd end up swimming with the fishes in the East River. There were lie detectors and guns and burner phones and a woman shoved into a car at gunpoint. Holy Tony and Carmela, there is so much to talk about today. But first, this is a Drop Dead Serious legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots and you were later diagnosed with a brain or a spinal tumor called meningioma, you may be eligible for a lawsuit. Right now, Morgan & Morgan is investigating claims that patients were not properly warned about this risk. You should check in with them, and it only takes a couple of minutes. And best part is, you do not have to pay a cent. Not unless they win the case for you. So go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen. You can click the link below, or you can go to www.forthepeople.com/abdepo. Just go ahead and see if you qualify. And by all means, share this link with all of your friends. Let me take you back to day 10 now, which felt more like an HBO series than a federal trial. There was only one witness on the stand the whole day, but she felt as big as 10 strong men. She was Diddy's former assistant, and her name is Capricorn Clark. And when she took the stand, she did not hold back. Capricorn Clark was raised in LA, but she got her start in New York as an intern at Def Jam Records in the 1990s. But by 2004, she was working for Diddy. The road to the gig with Diddy, though, it took a quick detour through Death Row Records, run by Diddy's longtime rival, Suge Knight. In fact, one of Capricorn's best friends had kids with Suge Knight, all of which apparently was a big problem, because on her very first day working with Diddy, she told the jury today that Diddy had her meet him after dark in Central Park. And it was there, with no security, no lawyers, just the two of them, that she says he confronted her. Capricorn testified that Diddy said, and I quote, "I didn't know you had anything to do with Suge Knight. If anything happens, I would have to kill you." End quote. That's got Atlas panting. I think he's like really into this particular story. Here you go, bud. Capricorn told the jury, quote, his demeanor was calm. He was very serious. And she didn't just talk about Suge Knight. She also brought up another one of Diddy's longtime rivals, 50 Cent. Capricorn said there was a moment right after an MTV press event where Diddy and Fiddy both appeared. She testified that she got into the elevator with Diddy and his manager at the time, Chris Lighty. That's when he said this, quote, "I don't like all the back and forth. I like guns." Still, she kept working for Diddy, and over the years, she rose through the ranks. Director of Marketing, Global Brand Director, and later in 2016, the creative director for Cassie Ventura. She said the job wasn't just demanding, it was punishing. Capricorn said that she worked from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m., often for weeks at a time, making just $65,000 a year. Think about that. There's a billionaire who's got this assistant working nonstop around the clock, and he's paying her just $65 a year. She told the jury that she actually developed stress-induced alopecia from all the pressure. Capricorn said she once had a meeting with an HR rep that was named Vashta. And Vashta apparently told her that she was owed $80,000 per 3-month period during her time as Diddy's assistant. This is like overtime that she was never paid, she said. But according to Capricorn, when she brought that number up to Diddy, he ripped up the paper. She told the jury she was never paid a dime of all that overtime money. And her responsibilities, those went way beyond marketing, she testified. She said that she was the one who prepped the hotel rooms for what she described as Combs' freak-offs. She said she'd unpack the bags, she'd light the candles, arrange his personal items, including drugs, a bottle of lube, and a camera box. And then when the freak-offs were over, still on the clock, she said it was her job to clean everything up. We've heard other assistants say the same thing. They had to go in too, clean up the freak-offs. And by the way, one of the assistants said the cleaning included like collecting up used condoms. She did say this. She told the jury this. There was always like baby oil, and that after one of his stays at the Intercontinental Hotel in LA, she walked in to find handprints smeared on the ultra suede wall. Ugh. Can't imagine what the damage deposit was on that one. And the way that Diddy treated Cassie, Capricorn said that that was on display too. She told the jury that back in 2010, Diddy used Cassie to make a point during a conversation in the kitchen of his rental home in Los Angeles. Capricorn said he called Cassie over in front of her, in front of Capricorn, but also in front of a woman named Lauren London, and also his personal chef. And then she said he gave Cassie a string of instructions. Sit down, stand up, turn around, walk across the room, grab something, hand it to him, and go back. Capricorn stated that Cassie followed every command without hesitation. And then, according to Capricorn, Diddy turned to the group and said, quote, "Did you see that? You bitches won't do that. That's why you don't have a man," end quote. Capricorn said they all fired back, quote, "You motherfucking right," end quote. And the courtroom heard about another moment, this one from the summer of 2006, when Capricorn said she was staying at Diddy's home on Star Island. She told the jury that she was exhausted, working around the clock, and really starting to burn out. Capricorn said that she still remembers the moment that finally pushed things over the edge in 2006. She said one morning she was making herself a plate of food when she asked the chef where the turkey bacon was. According to Capricorn, the chef responded, quote, "There is no more fucking turkey bacon," end quote. Capricorn said she muttered under her breath, "I hate it here." But the chef, according to Capricorn, passed that comment along to Diddy. And when Diddy heard it, Capricorn testified Diddy snapped. She told the jury that Diddy came storming back into the room, shoved her hard, and screamed, quote, "You hate it here? Then get the fuck out of my house," end quote. She said he shoved her so forcefully that she flew about 25 yards. Now, in cross-examination, I would question that because it is really hard to shove someone 25 yards. I mean, think about a football field. 25 yards. It's a really long way to shove someone. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't, but I would question that. And then she said that Uncle Paulie had to step in and tell Diddy to stop. And then she said Uncle Paulie told her to pack her bags and leave. And that's what she said she did. She left. But as we now know, she would be back several times. It was not the only disturbing experience that Capricorn described to the jury. Just months later, she says she found herself at the center of a far more terrifying ordeal, this one involving a bag of missing diamonds and a locked office with a lie detector test. And this one is where I thought it sounded real Sopranos-like. Capricorn told the jury about an incident in 2011 when she was asked to transport 3 pieces of very expensive jewelry to Miami: a diamond watch, a bracelet, and a necklace. These pieces of jewelry were out on loan to Diddy from Jacob the jeweler. But before she even made it to the airport, she said she realized that the bag containing the jewelry was missing. She never said exactly how or where it went missing, just that she noticed it was gone before leaving, and she immediately notified security. Capricorn told the jury that shortly after that jewelry went missing, Diddy's longtime bodyguard, Uncle Paulie offered, showed up at her front door. When asked to describe Uncle Paulie, Capricorn called him quiet, stoic, a bit menacing, and that, quote, physically he looks like a linebacker, end quote. She also said that he wore blackout sunglasses almost 100% of the time. Capricorn testified that Uncle Paulie forced her to come with him to a vacant building at 1710 Broadway. She said once they got there, they went up to the 6th floor where they met a heavy-set man chain-smoking cigarettes and sipping black coffee. A lie detector test was set out in front of him. And that man, she said, looked her straight in the eye and said this, quote, "If you fail this test, they're going to throw you in the East River," end quote. Capricorn told the jury she was terrified. She said the results kept coming back inconclusive. And when she struggled to calm down, Capricorn said the chain-smoking man told her, quote, "I'm not getting a good reading. You need to calm down. You're going to be in the East River if I can't get a reading on this," end quote. Capricorn admitted that she wasn't doing a good job of calming down, and she was there. She said, for a full workday, with the lie detector being administered intermittently all day long, she said. Capricorn testified that Uncle Paulie took her home after being grilled all day and, quote, he told me, I'll be back tomorrow to get you. We still got to figure this out, end quote. Talk about trying to sleep after that. She told the jury that she spent 5 full days taking lie detector tests. And when she was done, she testified that she was told, quote, you can return to work Monday. Let that sink in. Yay! Thanks. Capricorn said she never called the police, nor did she tell anybody about it because she said she was bound by an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and she said she was afraid for her safety. But she kept showing up for work because, in her words, quote, I wanted to prove my innocence, end quote. No one ever found out what happened to that missing jewelry, by the way. By that point, emotionally and professionally, though, she said she decided she was done. She walked away from Bad Boy thinking that she'd closed that chapter for good. But finding work after Bad Boy was not easy. She told the jury she lost her apartment, she lost her car, she lost her benefits, and she told the jurors that Diddy warned her she'd, quote, never work again, and that she'd, quote, probably kill herself, end quote. So in 2016, she came back. She came back to work for Bad Boy, this time to work as Cassie Ventura's creative director. She says that she tried to set boundaries, telling the jury, quote, I didn't want to work in close proximity to Diddy. I didn't want to be trapped in the house, end quote. But those boundaries did not stick. According to Capricorn, Diddy paid for her phone and for Cassie's phone, too. So one day, when Cassie texted Capricorn on that phone, saying that she planned to go hiking with Kid Cudi, guy she was dating, Capricorn said she flew into a panic. She told the jury that she didn't want that kind of message sitting on a phone tied to Diddy, and that she told Cassie, quote, this is going to get us all killed, end quote. Capricorn then drove Cassie to Best Buy and helped her buy a burner phone just to keep their messages off Diddy's radar. Capricorn told the jury that fear wasn't paranoia, that it was justified, especially because of what happened next. Something she said she'll never forget. Something that involved Diddy and Cassie and a rapper that Diddy just learned was dating Cassie, Scott Mescudi, a.k.a. Kid Cudi. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, she said, just days before Christmas. Capricorn told the jury that she was inside her apartment in Los Angeles when suddenly she heard a loud banging on the door, metal on metal. Capricorn said she looked through the peephole and saw Diddy outside of her door, furious and pacing, and wearing a white shirt and gray slacks that strangely were ripped wide open on the crotch area to a point where she said she could see his underwear. But more importantly, she said that Diddy had a gun in his hand. When she opened the door, she said Diddy yelled, quote, who is Scott? And then told her, quote, get dressed. We're going to kill this N-word. Of course, he didn't say N-word, right? Capricorn testified that she told Diddy she didn't want to go, but that Diddy responded, quote, I don't give a fuck what you want to do. Go get dressed now. She said that Diddy then tucked the gun into his waistband, and feeling threatened, Capricorn said she put her clothes on and got in the Escalade with Diddy and his security guard, Ruben. The destination, Kid Cudi's house. Capricorn testified that when they got to Kid Cudi's house, she stayed in the car, and that she said she could see that Diddy and Ruben got out and walked right through Cudi's open front door. Then she said she called Cassie on a burner phone and said, quote, Puffy came and got me with a gun and brought me to Cudi's house to kill him, end quote. She said she could hear Kid Cudi scream in the background, he's in my motherfucking house? Soon, according to Capricorn, she testified she could hear a car, the engine pulling up behind the car that she was in, and she said it was Kid Cudi pulling up to the house. She said he slowed down, spotted the Escalade, and then sped off. And that's when she testified Diddy came out of the house and got back in the car. She testified that Diddy yelled, there's that N-word right there. Capricorn told the jury they took off after Kid Cudi, but that a chase through the neighborhood ended quickly. Apparently, the flashing lights of a police cruiser threw cold water on everything, she said. But the night didn't end there, not even close. Capricorn then testified that Diddy forced her to call Cassie and tell Cassie, quote, Diddy has me and he's not letting me go until you come. Capricorn told the jury that after she called Cassie, Diddy threatened her and Cassie by saying, quote, you need to convince Kid Cudi to tell the police it wasn't me. If you don't, I'll kill all you motherfuckers. I'll stop right there for a second, because two things just happened. If that testimony is true, Diddy kidnapped this witness. Diddy held Capricorn Clark at gunpoint and forced her to call Cassie and apparently wouldn't let her go until Cassie arrived. That's kidnapping. Not only that, he also said, our mission is to kill this guy, right? Is to kill Kid Cudi. And that is a crime. And the next thing, if this witness is to be believed, it's Diddy, her boss, telling her her job is to make sure Kid Cudi tells the police it wasn't me, it wasn't Diddy. That is what you call obstruction of justice. Those are two really big crimes that are predicate acts for RICO. And this witness laid it all out in like just a couple of episodes of activity with her boss, right? Capricorn was in tears all throughout the day while she was on the witness stand. But when the defense got its turn, they had a very different story to tell. And on cross-examination, Diddy's lawyer leaned into the shared history that Capricorn had with Diddy. The brands they built, the projects they pulled off, and the years they spent side by side. Capricorn said, quote, I was a really good employee, quote, and Diddy nodded from the defense table. Capricorn broke down on the stand, crying hard, as she told the jury that separate from all of this, she actually learned a lot working for Diddy. This witness said that she and Diddy together broke barriers, shattered glass ceilings, and built something bigger than either one of them could have done by themselves. Capricorn also admitted that the job had its perks. She said she got to be around big names, big ideas, and people who made things happen. Diddy's lawyer also reminded the jury that even after everything, Capricorn did keep trying to reconnect with a man that she testified she was terrified of. Even after the raids on his 2 mansions, right? She said she wanted to be his chief of staff. When asked why, she told the courtroom, quote, because he wouldn't be in this mess if he kept me around, end quote. But the defense pushed even further, asking if she'd ever had a crush on Diddy. And they read a text from 2021 that she had sent to Diddy. And it said this, quote, sometimes I wonder, did we misuse all that dope chemistry? End quote. When asked about it, Capricorn replied, I don't recall. And she insisted that the relationship she had with Diddy was 1,000% platonic. She clarified to the jury that she didn't see police at Kid Cudi's house that night, but that when she came back later, ADT security was packing up. And by the following summer, when a fire investigator called her to ask questions about, Porsche blowing up in Kid Cudi's driveway, Capricorn Clark says she didn't pick up. She told the jury that she didn't want to be involved with this kind of stuff any longer. But Diddy's lawyers said that her inbox told a different story. Diddy's lawyers brought up several emails that she'd sent to Diddy, and they weren't from some distant past. These were from years after she'd stopped working for him. In one, she wrote, my hope for this year is that you make good on your promise, actually be my friend again. Capricorn told the jury she saw herself as, quote, a protector of Puff, end quote. And through all of this, Capricorn continued to cry on the stand, at one point turning to the judge and saying, I apologize for my anguish. And let me say this about a witness who's this raw. There's crying and there's crying. And usually you can tell when it's crocodile tears or when it's real. Sometimes it's ugly crying, and that tends to be pretty darn believable. And from all accounts in this courtroom, this witness who cried all throughout the day was very, very authentic and very believable. It also lends to credibility. And I asked News Nation's Caitlyn Becker about this because she watched all of this and she had a really good analysis of the net effect of Capricorn Clark and her raw emotion on the stand.
I don't know how much ink you had in your pen today, sister, but I could barely keep up with all of the allegations that Capricorn Clark was spewing out on the stand that matched right up with the charges of racketeering and the predicate acts of racketeering that the prosecution, that they're alleging. So talk to me a little bit more about this Uncle Paulie incident, because I don't feel like I've heard the whole story.
Ashleigh, you really did hit so many of the high points there. This was the first time in this trial that I think the prosecution had a major win for the entire day. Capricorn Clark testified from morning until court ended today, and we really laid out a lot of these RICO charges. So many experts so far have questioned whether or not the prosecution, the government was doing a good job at establishing their case because they spent so much time on the domestic violence. But today was the day they got into that racketeering aspect of it with Capricorn Clark. I mean, she sat down on the stand and off the bat hit them with, "I was kidnapped." And as you said, not once, not twice, I'm actually going to add a few more to those. There were not only allegations of kidnapping, but false imprisonment at points when she said he wouldn't let her leave his home in Miami. Uncle Paulie sounds like a name, as you said, from The Sopranos that almost feels made up. But to hear that this person took her from where she was and questioned her for hours and hours and days and under this lie detector, which this is not the first time we have heard that Diddy has employed a lie detector for his employees. At one point, Capricorn Clark, through hysterical tears several times today, testified that she was so anxious during that lie detector, during that polygraph, that it was completely inconclusive. And they basically told her, "You need to calm down or else we are never going to get an answer out of what happened to these pieces of jewelry." But from day one, there was a threat to kill her. And then there was this incident where she was questioned for day after day after day after day in what the gutted building would later become their headquarters. But she didn't know that at the time. She had no idea where she was and why she was there at first. And then was sat there under questioning under those very bizarre circumstances for days and then expected to go right back to work. And that is a narrative that I think was very surprising to the jury, even considering everything that they've heard so far.
I've been in New York for 25 years, and no one has ever threatened to throw me in the East River. So I think if I were in an abandoned building or a vacant building with Uncle Paulie and he's threatening to throw me in the East River, yeah, I'd be petrified. I feel for this poor girl. Okay, the thing that you touched on a second ago was that she was crying a lot. And it seemed to be a theme all the way through the day. Even the court sketch artist has got her like with tissues, and it's a kind of a squishy face there, but I get it. What was your impression of her as a witness? Like, do you think the jury felt she was credible? Did she feel believable? Was she authentic? Was she honest? Was she that kind of person who it's like, damn, this one's going to be hard to clean up?
Yes, 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 and yes, Ashleigh. I mean, she was incredibly credible on that stand. Her tears were very genuine. They were in moments where you could tell how hard she was struggling to recall these stories, how much respect she still had for the job that she did, and the kind of struggle that she was going through, saying, I worked really hard and my job wasn't so special, but I was working with someone who did incredible things with his efforts with voting, and she felt like she shattered a glass ceiling. And you juxtapose that to hearing her boss, who she respected, shoving her open-palmed out of his house in Miami because he said that she was gone for too long after he said she wasn't allowed to leave and she had stepped out for too long, shoves her out of the house and says, if you want a life, you can't work here. You don't like it here, tough. It was really tough to hear her go through this. And you even watched, everyone's watching Diddy's reactions for this. And at this point, Ashleigh, I think we know when he's annoyed when truth is being told because he shoves his chair back and he kind of looks perturbed. And then there are times where he was more engaging. And when she was recalling some of those positive times working for him, he was kind of nodding along. So you can almost see with his reaction how credible the witness is. But Capricorn Clark is one the jury will not forget when it comes time to deliberation.
I'll tell you what, guilty or not guilty, after this trial, there are so many things he's going to be remembered for that will destroy him and any shred of legacy he ever thought he was going to have. Number one, that horrible tape and all the beatings, right, that were physically captured on tape. Just that. Number two, he paid this poor kid $65,000 to clean up his used condoms, allegedly, right? She said, I had to clean up the free coughs, set up the free coughs, and all of this other garbage that she said she went through. I had to work, you know, nonstop all the time. And I asked him for a reference letter, and he didn't even give her that. That's the Sean Combs everyone will remember if they don't remember a guy in an orange jumpsuit. It just... makes me crazy. Hey, Caitlyn, great work. And I'm sending you a whole new box of pens because I have a feeling tomorrow's going to be big, too.
We'll need it.
So where does this leave the jury? With an unforgettable witness, a story that sounded more like an HBO script than a, piece of courtroom testimony, and several anecdotes that line up seamlessly with prosecutors and their racketeering charges. Remember, they're trying to show Diddy used his enterprise and his employees to commit crimes in a pattern of behavior. Kidnapping, assault, coerced labor, obstruction of justice, bribery. These are some of the crimes that prosecutors laid out with this witness. And some of the predicate acts needed to prove RICO, racketeering. But this trial, it is still the prosecution's show. We haven't even gotten to the defense case yet. There were also a few behind-the-scenes moves that were worth noting today. The judge agreed to block a few things that Capricorn Clark testified that Cassie had told her, saying that the jury, indeed, should not hear those things. And we're still waiting on a decision about Dr. Dawn Hughes' testimony and whether or not the judge should just toss it out. Remember, she was the doctor who testified about the complex nature of domestic abuse and the patterns of behavior that stem from it, mostly from victims who just keep returning. That ruling could come a little bit later on this week. And by the way, full transparency, I, along with many other people, are being sued by P. Diddy because of our coverage in cases that are yet unresolved. Tomorrow, law enforcement is expected to take the stand, and the prosecution is expected to keep building piece by piece what they say amounts to a racketeering conspiracy case. And we will be there for all of it. I'm Ashleigh Banfield, and remember, the truth isn't just serious, it's drop dead serious.